This timeout is sponsored by Augie's Locker Room. Augie's features the largest collection of Notre Dame football memorabilia and gifts, including rare and hard-to-find items.
Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
Last year when Notre Dame played Stanford in Notre Dame Stadium, it looked like it was going to be a walk for Notre Dame. It looks the same way here today as 8-3 Notre Dame takes on 3-8 Stanford. It wasn't a walk in the park for Notre Dame last year. I think this one has a chance, Tim, to be that. But you can't really take that for granted since Notre Dame has lost 8 out of 13 here in Stanford Stadium.
No, I think it will be that. 26-point favorite Notre Dame last year. It was 16.5, 17 when Stanford upset the Irish with turnovers especially. The reason it might not be that is, let's go back 2 weeks. If I told you Notre Dame's offense is going to absolutely run through Stanford, you wouldn't think they had an offense to run through anybody, but it happened against Wake Forest, and it happened because the freshman wide receivers, a sophomore wide receiver, the sophomore tight end, they finally gelled with Sam Hartman. Is growth going to continue in a straight line? If growth continues in a straight line, Notre Dame wins this game by 30 points. If it doesn't, we're going to have some angry message board people.
Well, Stanford's defense is not very good. Their offense isn't much better. In fact, it's even less than that. But, defensively, Stanford has really struggled. They can't force turnovers. Yeah. The astonishing stat is that they have forced one fumble all season, and they recovered that fumble. There have been a couple other fumbles that they didn't force. They are not a good defense offensively. They have two quarterbacks in Ashton Daniels and Justin Lamson that lead the team in rushing. We talked about this during the week. E.J. Smith is the leading rusher at running back, and he's like at 217 yards. They just don't have a lot to hang their hat on, which is why they've lost all 6 home games this year and are on an 8-game losing streak in Stanford Stadium.
They lost 13-17. One of those wins was Notre Dame. The key is, I think, with two quarterbacks that are leading your team in rushing, you take out sacks. 58.8% of Stanford's rushing yards are their two quarterbacks this year. That should be Navy, Air Force, Army, not Stanford. And it's not because Stanford's a power running team. They just desperately need it. But I was speaking with Ashton Daniels' father before this game, and they lost 6 offensive linemen to the transfer portal. Right. 2 are at Michigan, one's starting at Oklahoma, and one started at Duke. That'll hurt your offense a little bit.
This is one of the few times you can look at Stanford's offensive line and just say, it's not much because of what you just said. Big opportunity today for Sam Hartman and the receivers, as you said. These young receivers had 18 catches. The freshman had 18 catches, 256 yards fantastic. Last week. They were outstanding. Rico Flores leading the way. We'll see if they can build upon that. It'd be nice to see Tobias Merriweather build upon his touchdown pass reception and a couple other catches last week. It's just a great opportunity for Notre Dame to finish on a strong note. And usually when Notre Dame is in this position coming out to the West Coast, whether it's Southern California or Northern, when they have something at stake, they usually play really well. And Notre Dame has something at stake. They can win their 9th regular season game today with an opportunity for winning 10 games for the 6th time in 7 years.
Well, a January 1st bowl game, even though it's a second-tier January 1st bowl game, is a lot more enticing for Notre Dame's program, coaches, and players than what the alternative is losing this game. And losing this game, the alternative is one of the worst point spread upsets in the history of the program, too. This is a hunch. It's not inside information. But I think with Rico Flores emerging last week, you're going to see either Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison, or both set career highs in receptions today, because I don't think that they can necessarily keep funneling it to Flores now that he's on someone else's radar. And career highs in receptions aren't going to be hard for those guys. It's in that 3-4 range. I think those guys, healthy, still might be the 2 best weapons you can find, along with Flores, for Sam Hartman. Tobias Merriweather, I'd love to see him make one more big play because he just doesn't put 2 games together in a row. When they talk about stacking, he hasn't done it. But I think Faison and Greathouse could have good days.
The guy that Notre Dame has to worry about defensively is Alec Iomanner. He's had a great year, 55 receptions. He had that 294-yard, 3-touchdown game against Colorado. Unfortunately for Stanford, they're not facing Colorado's defense today. Right. They're facing a great Notre Dame defense, which should be able to hold him down. And they're not going to run the football a whole lot. The biggest concern for Al Golden is just the gadgets and the variations that they like to run offensively. They'll have 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time, and obviously either one of them can throw when they're on the field together. But I think Notre Dame plays well tonight. I don't think that Stanford has a whole lot they can hang their hat on.
I started smiling because I was sitting out here waiting, and I heard it's beautiful, by the way, in Palo Alto this time of year, as you can see. But I was sitting out here, and I heard a father and son in Stanford close walk by saying, I mean, we might as well throw everything at him. It works every time. Just try the onside kicks. So look for an onside kick today, I guess, if those two are right. Another thing, though, Io Manor, his 55 catches and 17.5 yards in that range. Those numbers would not be matched by a Notre Dame wide receiver since Will Fuller, 62 catches, 20 yards per catch.
Yeah.
He does make plays. He's the fulcrum of that passing attack. I just don't know if they have anything else to go along with it.
Outside of Stanford Stadium, Tim Priester, Tim O'Malley. We'll talk to you after the game with our instant analysis, and of course, join us on Irish Illustrated Overtime. And you can always find our work on irishillustrated.com.